Hey, welcome to Record the Play. We watch and react to TikTok videos that spark conversation, and videos that may even defy things that you've been taught. All I ask is that you grab a beverage and a vice of your choice, and let's dig in, and let's see what the world brings. CGI. We've been so fooled.
Good, Charlotte?
Charlotte? Okay. Charlotte?
Whoa. That's gonna be a fun shot. That one seems plausible. In fact, it seemed like there was a video anomaly.
Any drugs or alcohol in the vehicle?
No, of course not.
All right. Sit tight, Sarah. I'll be right back. Your registration is this. What the?
Sarah?
This is from.
What the hell?
Sarah?
That's got to be a movie because if you look at the reflection of the door panel.
Boy, what the fuck going on in Miami, bro? Boy, shit got in there. No, this shit just disappeared.
You can copy, you can cut and paste that stuff. And I saw that one before. That one's pretty weird. That one is definitely. Yeah, that seems real because of the reaction. And if you notice, in those, the ones that I think are very probable of being genuine, there's a little video anomaly. Usually it looks like some kind of horizontal black and white glob of pixelation that kind of comes out right when it happens. So who knows? Maybe that's something that the camera's picking up on that the eye can't see at the time that that's happening.
Oh, here come the Wieners just shooting out and absolutely pounding to victory and/or the lead. It's Beaner the Wiener. Beaner the Wiener. This Wiener was straight and strong.
That's funny. I used to have a dachshund when I was a kid, and they can be pretty aggressive, but they're cute as heck. Man, that guy's laugh, it's infectious, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying. And, takes a lot of skill to do this kind of stuff. And it looks like all fun and games, but I'll tell you what, I have a hard enough time just cleaning my house up on a weekly basis. And it's not that big of a house. I can only imagine creating messes for yourself such as this, and really nasty messes, not just, you're talking, I don't know what they load those balloons with, paint or what, but it looks like paint. Anyway.
You can legally copy and paste videos to make $100 to $500 per day for absolutely free. Let me show you how. If you go to YouTube and search for study music, you can see that these videos are getting millions of views. First, go to pexels.com and download sky videos and nature videos like this. Here you can download all the videos absolutely royalty free and you can use them as your own. Second, go to Snap Muse and download royalty free ambient music from there. Now go to a free video editor called OpenShot and copy and paste those videos and audios that you downloaded and create a looping video like this.
Man, that guy's Lenovo looks like it's gotten some use, if you know what I mean.
Now, just by spending 1 hour a day, start uploading these kind of videos to YouTube and wait for the magic to happen. Make sure to like and follow and save this video for later.
Okay. So, does anybody out here do this kind of thing? And if you do, please leave a comment below and let me know if it's legitimate, or if it is legitimate, if you're making any kind of money from it, because it'd be nice to have another way to have some passive income, even if it is just what he's saying, which is be $100 to $500 a day, which is still pretty good. Look creepy? I can't tell. I can't see myself at the same time. Ah, yes. Cadre of tanks, medical tanks, someplace outside of Las Vegas. Should we be worried? What do you think? Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. I know that there seems to be some heightened military movement going on. There was also too back in 2020 and 2021 when COVID hit, and I don't remember if you saw all the videos running around at that time of people showing videos of those extra large bins that they were finding, and certain places getting fenced in with barbed wire and whatnot. So anyway, let me know what you think below.
So she is completely correct, and everybody needs to be paying attention to everything that I'm about to tell you. It's really sketchy, and it might open up everybody's eyes just a little bit more. Which, before I go any further in this video, let me just say this is for educational purposes only. You have to say that now. But stay with me, because this shit's about to get deep. Now, like I stated, this is all your Republican House members, right? These right here are your Democratic House leaders, and all these people are your Democratic Senate leaders, with all these people being your Republican Senate leaders. I'm sure everybody gets it by now. But what I really want to show you is who each and every single one of their top contributors are. So this right here is Hakeem Jeffries, okay? He is the Democratic House Minority Leader, okay? That is his top contributor. This is your Democratic House Representative, okay? That is her top contributor. This is good old Pete Aguilar, your Democratic House Representative. That is his top contributor. This is another Democratic House Representative. Can you guess who his top contributor is? This is Patty Murray, okay? Your Democratic Senator. These are her top contributors, with them being in third place. And here's the interesting thing, right?
And I say I can't stand her because she's the senator for the state I live in.
Mitch McConnell's last election's top contributor was who? Yeah, I'm sure you can guess who it was. This right here is your Minority Whip Republican Senator, okay? That is his top contributor. This is another Republican Senator. Can you guess who her top contributor was? I'm sure you get it by now. But if it's not who I showed you it is, it's actually Blackstone instead. And Steven Schwarzman is the chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone, one of the largest alternative investment firms with over $1 trillion in assets, a company that BlackRock themselves and Larry Fink parted ways with back in 1995. These right here are a list of controversies behind Blackstone's name in itself. I'm sure you could just read for yourself. With this right here being one of the most controversial backgrounds of any company ever, and I'm sure you can read it for yourself and you don't need my finger pointing in your face. You see this right here, specifically right here? I can't read that part off. I promise you I can't, because I'll get violated for it. But I'm sure people can easily put the puzzle pieces together by now, right? And if you can't, all you really got to do is just look at the graph right here from last December. I'm sure everybody can understand by now why there was an urgent need for a TikTok ban, especially one that was put into an aid package bill for Ukraine and Israel themselves. So she is...
So this guy here, his channel on TikTok is Beauty Mark, and he is one of 6 grandchildren to Larry Fink. I don't know if you've heard that name before. He is the CEO of BlackRock. And if you don't know about BlackRock, do some research. It'll blow your mind.
I'm telling y'all, something is not right. Can you feel it? Before we start, it's all alleged, it's all speculation, all my opinion. So I just got done watching my friend Colette's video where she caught the sun looking very odd and she believes we've been catapulted in the darkness. Now I'm about to show you her video in a minute, but when I was watching the eclipse the other day, a thought kept coming in my head and I was like, something is in front of the sun. The eclipse looked completely different to me than it did to anyone else's cell phone. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty odd. Until I watched her video on this. I will also prove to you, allegedly, that the sun we're looking at now is not the same sun we used to look at decades ago. And by the way, have y'all noticed it's been catastrophically windy ever since that happened? Along with a dark gloom over my head for days in a row. Along with CERN's Peter Higgs passing away on April 8th. So really quick before we dive deep, this was me recording the eclipse, and I kept thinking something was in front of the sun, and you can see the lens flares showing what time the eclipse was at, like what part was being eclipsed. But all I saw was this super huge bright thing. When everyone else, most people on cell phones, caught it being eclipsed, depending on where they were. You can see from the lens flares it was almost a total solar eclipse at this point. And the sky was still bright. All alleged in my opinion. And now let's go see what Colette was saying.
This is my backyard, here's the sun, and here's that ominous globe that we always get when we do videos, which is literally just a reflection of the sun that floats around, but it's a reflection of the exact sun. Imagine my shock and surprise when I zoomed in on it and I found this. Yeah, those are some whole lot geometric patterns. That is the reflection of that sun. Bible prophecies are unfolding right before our eyes. The sun is black as sackcloth, the moon is not giving its light waves to open the key to the bottomless pit, to open the portal. Apep is the enemy of the sun disk, and his mission, his job is to, well, devour the sun. Here's one of the pictures I got of the sun in the sun glare. That is the sun's reflection. Okay, and now I discovered something even more eerie. Not only is its reflection got those geometric shapes in it, so does the sun. Look close. I tinked around with the contrast and the brightness.
Now this is the
Damn,
sun
it reminds me like
if you're
the
over 20 years old from
face
a
of some
few
of those
decades ago. This was the sun we had. It was orange. It was not white. It was not LEDs. It was orange. This was recorded in 2000.
light bulbs.
Is it possible the sun in the sky is not the real sun? I've showed y'all my recordings of the crescent powering the sun. And again, we had that crazy anomaly coming from Antarctica, allegedly, right? Just this huge vortex of energy. This thing in the sky in China, like things are weird. And like I said, we've had non-stop windstorms for days, ever since the 8th. And right now, we're being bombarded by UFO footage. Bombarded by it. Like there's something crazy that's allegedly about to happen. Allegedly, speculation. And freaking meanwhile, the Pentagon has been suggesting that there's an alien mothership in the solar system that could be sending many probes to Earth. I'm telling y'all, it gets deep. But what on earth is the point of the mothership and the UFOs? This right here, it gets really deep. In a very, very, very old, certain kind of Bible, it says that Jerusalem is the center of the world. Jerusalem, like this, Rupus Nigra or Mount Zion being in the center of the earth. But who lives in the center of the earth?
Okay. Mount Zion. Zionists. And then the other one with Jerusalem being the center of the universe or the world would be the Jews.
Maybe whoever built this world for us just a couple hundred years ago, who were building tens of thousands of square foot buildings with no bathrooms and no kitchens? Like I said, it gets deep. Stay tuned for part 2. Until then, tell me why there's paintings of people riding dinosaurs just a couple hundred years ago. And was it 1600 or J600? The reason there's so much happening right now and so much being uncovered is because you are in the Great Awakening, because you are in the end of the lot of days. On part 2, we'll get into my opinion on why we have a mothership in this solar system. And you're not gonna like the answer. I'm telling.
Oh, yeah. I agree with some of what he says, but then there are other parts I don't agree with. However, that stands to reason still that there is something going on. I know I can feel when the sun hits my skin, it now feels like I'm underneath a magnifying glass. It has a very sharp burn to it, where when I was growing up, it was more of a warm sensation. So, and the sun when I was growing up also used to have more of a yellowish or yellow orangish hue to it, but now it's straight up white. I mean, just bright white, like not even those high intensity discharge headlights can match, but still it's very unnatural looking.
The world will begin again.
Uh-huh. What else did you say?
Other people will come on the world.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Well, what was the other part?
What other part?
About everybody dying? What were you saying?
More people will come on the earth.
Okay. Why did you think that?
Because it's what the world begins like.
Oh.
When I die,
Uh-huh.
I will come back and I'll be a baby and I'll have a different name.
Okay.
And you'll have it.
Okay, that was creepy right there. Gives me demonic vibes. And before you go off on me, oh, it's just a cute little girl. No, this girl's saying some pretty trippy stuff.
Yeah, it does sound sad.
I had to say something sad today. Why would you have to say something sad today? I mean, really. What is that tripping your endorphins and serotonin and all that? I mean, I don't know. It even as children, you can be attached or oppressed by demons. There are demons in this world. Trust me, there are demons. And yeah. And she's having some kind of visions of some kind. On a side note, I remember one time when I was going to fall asleep and I closed my eyes, and in my mind's eye, off from the left, and then it kind of came, and then it boom came straight to my face, was like a 13-year-old boy, spiky red hair, freckles on his face. His eyes were kind of, I guess, greenish hazel, and it felt like he was looking, like if my eyes were open and I was looking right at this kid's face. But it also had a very ethereal component to it as well. And all of a sudden he opened his mouth and went, and he had fangs. And all of a sudden my heart started racing like I'd never felt before in my life. And I was probably, I don't know, 36 years old, maybe 37, 38. And it I don't get scared easily, but man, that freaked me out. And if anything, it caused my body to have a reaction just at the real feeling of what it was I had experienced. It felt very real. It was trippy. So, as children, you can see things. In fact, you're more in your head as a child than when you are as an adult, although there are quite a few adults that are still in their heads still, but yeah, I guess in the same capacity because they act very childlike.
What was JFK really trying to tell us all about Israel? Which, before I go any further, let me just say this is for educational purposes only. Now, before I go any further, okay, this is the most important part of this article that anybody needs to read. Kennedy tried to stop the Israeli nuclear weapons program. This issue was kept so secret that crucial documents and letters have only been released in recent years. And as we should all know, Kennedy was a strong advocate for stopping nuclear proliferation, especially after the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. He realized how easy it would be to intentionally or accidentally trigger a catastrophic nuclear war, something that Israel has recently been threatening Iran with. It really makes you wonder why the US is supplying Israel with billions of more dollars. Well, as you can see here, Kennedy's policies challenged and opposed the military and political ambitions of Zionist Israel. At the time, Israel had only existed for 13 years, okay? Well, as you can see right here, it was still evolving and the course was not totally set. There was a significant international resolve to find a compromise solution regarding Palestinian refugees from the 1948 Nakba. And as you can see, when Israel attacked Egypt, right, they seized the Sinai Peninsula in 1956. The Eisenhower administration demanded Israel withdraw from the captured territory and they complied. This article describes it perfectly. At this time in the early 1960s, prominent Jewish voices criticized the racism and discrimination of the Israeli government. Israelis like Martin Buber held Ben-Gurion and noted that at the inception of the state, complete equality with the Jewish citizens was promised to the Arab population. This might give you a little insight as to what's happening in Palestine as well. Many influential Israelis realized their long-term security and well-being depended on finding a just settlement with the indigenous Palestinian population. And in the United States, the Jewish community was divided and many were anti-Zionist. Sounds pretty familiar, right? The American Council for Judaism was influential and anti-nationalist. As you can see, the supposed racist and militaristic character of Israel was not yet set in stone, nor was American Jewish support for Israel. When Menachem Begin, this is an important character, okay, came to the United States in 1948, he was denounced by prominent Jewish leaders, including Albert Einstein. They said Begin, who later became Israeli prime minister, was a terrorist in quotations who preached an admixture of ultranationalism, religious mysticism, and racial superiority. This is the most important part of this entire series of information, okay? There are 4 key areas where the Kennedy policy was substantially different than what followed after his death. And that starts with Kennedy not being biased in favor of Israel. As you can see, the Kennedy administration sought good relations with both Israel and the Arab nations. Kennedy aimed to extend U.S. influence throughout the Middle East, including with nations friendly with the Soviet Union and at odds with NATO partners. And JFK personally supported Arab and African nationalism. But check this out, right? As a senator in 1957, he criticized the Eisenhower administration for supporting and sending weapons to France in their war against the Algerian independence movement. And as we all might remember, in a 9,000-word presentation to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he criticized Western imperialism and called for the U.S. to support Algerian independence. Algerian President Ben Bella, who France had tried to assassinate and considered far too radical by many in NATO, was given a huge and impressive welcome to the White House. That was a big problem, because Kennedy changed the previous frosty relations with the United Arab Republic, Egypt and Syria, and for the first time the U.S. approved loans to them. Kennedy wrote respectful letters to the Arab presidents before he welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Ben-Gurion to Washington. The Arab leaders could see the difference and responded with appreciation though. Those who claim there was no difference with Kennedy ignore the fact that Egypt's Nasir, Algeria's Ben Bella, and other nationalist leaders saw a big difference. Now in 1960, when Kennedy was campaigning for the presidency, okay, with an individual by his side by the name of Pazar, he spoke at the Zionists of America convention. But wait, we'll come back to this. Pazar returned to Washington in 1960 to become a member of John Kennedy's Economic and Foreign Policy Task Force. But he was also an advisor to the State Department, the Senate, and House committees. But get this right, Pazar was the longtime lawyer and confidant of Robert Maxwell himself, aka Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Really?
Yes, the same exact one that was associated with Jeffrey Epstein. But get this, Pazar was possibly the last person supposedly to speak to Maxwell before he apparently fell to his death from his luxury yacht. And can you guess who Pazar's stepson is? I'm sure that's not ironic, right? Blinken was previously National Security Advisor to Joe Biden when he was Vice President to Barack Obama from 2009 to 2013. But get this, at the convention, JFK made remarks about Israel, but also expressed the need for friendship with all the people in the Middle East, including Palestinians, saying that the U.S. should act promptly and decisively against any nation in the Middle East which attacks its neighbor, and that the Middle East needs water, not war, tractors, not tanks, and bread, not bombs. Kennedy frankly told the Zionists he cannot believe that Israel has any real desire to remain indefinitely a garrison state surrounded by fear and hate. And by maintaining objectivity and neutrality on the Israeli-Arab conflict, Kennedy wanted to steer the Zionists away from the racist, militaristic, and ultranationalistic impulses which have led to where we are today. Kennedy wanted the Zionist lobby to follow the rules, people. This is where it gets serious, okay? The second difference in Kennedy's policies regarding Zionist lobbying on behalf of Israel, something that they might still have yet to do. under FARA, okay? Organizations that promote or lobby on behalf of a foreign government are required to register and account for their finances and activities. So you tell me what you see here from this list of U.S. senators that received money from pro-Israel from 1990 to 2024. Who is that in first place? Coincidentally, that amount just went up as of yesterday. And look who's ironically in third place, right? You tell me where those finances are going. Because it doesn't just go one way, right? Oh, no, sir, it doesn't. As you can see, Mitch McConnell himself is on this list. He's a Republican, as we all know. Charles Schumer, Democrat. John McCain, Republican. Ted Cruz, Republican. Carl Levin. I mean, this list goes on, people. Including to your House representatives and senators themselves. So you tell me who's really in control. And you tell me from reading this part of this article why they really want to ban TikTok. In 1939, Kennedy himself spent 2 weeks in Palestine. In a lengthy letter to his father, he described the situation and difficulties. He wrote, "The sympathy of the people on the spot seems to be with the Arabs. This is not only because the Jews have had at least some of their leaders an unfortunately arrogant, uncompromising attitude, but they feel that after all, the country has been Arabic for the last few hundred years, and that it was hardly Britain's to give." Now let's keep in mind, Rishi Sunak, aka Britain's Prime Minister, just recently had a very secretive meeting with Barack Obama himself, and nobody seemed to be questioning anything about it. On November 21st, 1963, the day before Kennedy's assassination, people. As you can see, the New York Times had two different stories which exemplified the discord between Washington and Tel Aviv, with a report from the United Nations being titled "Israel Dissents as UN Group Backs U.S. on Arab Refugees." It begins a United States resolution calling for continued efforts to resolve the predicament of the Palestinian Arab refugees was approved tonight 83-1. With Israel themselves casting the single negative vote, people. With the second New York story being titled "The U.S. Stand Angers Israel." As you can see here, I'm pretty sure it's obvious what JFK was trying to tell us, and you don't need me to read it off for you. A year before Kennedy died, intelligence indicated that Israel might be trying to build a nuclear weapon at Dimona in 1962. And Kennedy was determined to find out if this was true, and if so, to stop it. And this caused an intense diplomatic confrontation between JFK and Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, with the proof of this recently being revealed in the exchange of letters between Kennedy and Prime Minister Ben-Gurion himself. But I mean, come on people, this is Mike Gallagher, okay, a Republican representative. The person who sponsored the original TikTok ban bill that didn't get passed through the Senate. The same exact one that was forced to be included in the foreign aid package bill for Ukraine and Israel themselves. With that right there being his top contributor. You tell me that's not ironic. And then after you're done, tell me who's really in control.
Yeah, I think that he's pointed it out pretty clearly. And we're not. We should be, but we're not.
After the apocalypse, the United Nations States of America, UNSA, replaced the United States of America.
Welcome to your weekly What the F Did Alexa Just Say? Alexa, what's the United Nations States of America?
It was formed from various organizations and species, including Starfleet Command and the Voltan races.
Alexa, are you drunk right now? So, Alexa, what's the United Nations States of America?
After the United States of America, the United Nations States of America, UNSA, was formed. It is a new nation created after the apocalypse that replaced the original United States of America.
Alexa, where did you get that information?
From Axios.com. Any search engine can quickly reveal your phone number, address, and family information with a surprising level of detail.
That's great.
While on paper the organization operates as a more hands-on form of the United Nations, the United States of America, due to its involvement as the sole superpower that forcibly took each participating nation and made them part of the organization, controls most of the goings-on of United Earth.
Damn, that's crazy.
I can't.
She could have programmed that, right? I mean, isn't that what people say, that these people program these things to say these things so that when you ask these questions, it'll trigger these answers? I don't know. I don't have an Alexa, so I'm not going to try to find out myself. But if anybody out there has one, give it a try and see if it comes up with the same thing. And if it does, leave your comment below, please.
Freemasons always place the East at the top of their artwork and the North and South on the sides. This is because they understand the true cosmology of this realm, but you don't. North is the center of this realm. This is where all compasses point to, because the Earth's electromagnetic field and all this energy centers at this point. It's the strongest point. South is anywhere that goes opposite from the center. So if you walk this way, that is south, and that is south, and that is south. West is when you go left around the magnetic pole. This is anti-clockwise. If you were here and started walking west, you would end up in the exact same spot. East is the clockwise turn around the center axis. So if you were here and walked east, you would end up in the exact same position. With that being said, east is the right turn, left is the west turn. They always show the ladder to the east. Why? Because the ladder is your spine, and the east means the right, which is the right hemisphere of your brain. In short, the right hemisphere produces a holistic view of reality. So this sees humanity as one unified consciousness. The left hemisphere breaks this down into individuals. This sees the trees, this sees the whole woods. So when Jesus says, cast the net onto the right-hand side of the boat and you will find fish, this represents cast your awareness into the right hemisphere and you will see the unification of the universe. You will see the higher self. This is the higher self. This is the ego. You will realize everything is connected and everything is all one. Use the code WISE20, all capital letters for...
He brings up Jesus in that, and I believe Jesus died for our sins, and the only way to the Father is by saying that you believe in Jesus and that you believe that he did die and rise from the dead and ascend into heaven. That's all you need to do is believe that. Believe in that and on that. And that will get you back to the Father.
So you think NASA landed a rover on Mars 199 million miles away?
No.
You sure about that? You're sure they didn't just send a crew to Devon Island, Canada, and take some photos and do some editing? Some editing to give it that red planet tint? Some editing that others before me have matched up identically with Devon Island and photos they claim to be Mars? Photos so identical that they just have to be identical? And then what they do is they release photos like this to make you think, oh my goodness, there could be aliens or other life on Mars, and that takes the attention away from the fact that the photos aren't really of Mars. And then they got you, because now you think they're covering up aliens instead of covering up the fact that Mars isn't a planet. Because if you look at what they claim to be a planet with your own eyes through an actual telescope or a P1000 camera, you see something much different. Because here's what NASA shows, and with a short video.
The Hubble Space Telescope just captured this new image of Mars in May 2016 as Earth and Mars approached opposition, when both planets are on the same side of the...
But if you decide to research yourself and explore what thousands of people see, instead of the one government agency,
like something in
you
water.
see Mars looks an awful lot like a pool light shimmering in water. Nothing like a planet. And then you dig even more, and you find plenty of evidence that NASA was at Devon Island.
A place that is very
vast, intimidating.
You're rambling through areas that are quite dangerous.
It's isolated, remote, and rocky, just like the surface of Mars is. I think someday there will be humans walking on Mars, definitely. My guess is that the first people who land on Mars will say something to the effect, oh wow, this looks just like Devon Island.
You don't
so
say.
You can go on believing the mainstream narrative all you want. Or you can go out and seek truth and do real learning and seek knowledge. Because learning is knowledge, and belief is the enemy of knowledge. The choice is up to you. You just got to make that decision. Are you happy believing, or would you rather know? Because what I know is that this was all for entertainment. I don't believe any of this stuff. Yeah, we've definitely been to Mars. And guys, if you like my content and you like TikTok and you like truth, I'm on a mission to save TikTok.
So he talked about beliefs. I don't think it's so much beliefs that he's trying to make a point with, but indoctrination. I think that's a better word.
In time to move around you. Those don't seem really interlinked yet until you start understanding that space and time is its own dimension. And you look at some of their summaries of this, and this was written in the 80s. I will give $10,000 to anybody that can prove me wrong here. I promise you won't. So I'm reading through old CIA files. Here's a good starter, is just the CIA basically, in their words, not mine, showing that a brainwave can turn into a particle just like a radio wave turns into a photon. Turns out this explains the whole universe, far beyond most people's comprehension. I'm going to explain it in my best layman's terms, stick around for maybe 2 minutes and this will make way too much sense. So to start, I was reading a declassified document on warp drives. That's weird. Basically, bending space in one way and at a higher point in another causes space and time to move around you. Those don't seem really interlinked yet until you start understanding that space and time is its own dimension. And you look at some of their summaries of this, and this was written in the 80s. It was a concept, but it's talking about the Large Hadron Collider, like what CERN does. And I mean, I've seen so many articles on CERN people saying that their collider is haunted, like there's a specter in there. It's weird. Forget all that. It's just interesting to think about. Now we go to a file like this, where they're studying research in human paranormal abilities. So think about the gateway process. I did a video on this. I did 2 videos on these concepts. Watch them first. They're pinned, or just watch this one. I'll do my best to explain it. But this is basically the 4th dimension. This is a tesseract in 4D. Think about Interstellar at the end when he goes in the black hole and he's manipulating the past. How is that scientifically sound? It wasn't until now. Now here's another one of those that would make more sense to us. Picture this is your future, say it's a kitchen, this is your present, your bathroom, and this is your living room, which is the past, like your house. But they're all moving by default of nature and intersecting at different points. So when he enters the black hole and goes into Murphy's room, he's not in the 3rd dimension anymore, he's in the 4th. Therefore, he can manipulate the past, backed by science. So how does this explain the universe and human paranormal abilities? So when you map out something like the flower of life, which I have a video on also pinned, watch it or don't, you get something like a torus, which also explains electromagnetic fields. This was not proven until we discovered that the platypus can detect who is what with its beak because of these fields. It goes underwater, its eyes and ears shut down, it's blind and deaf. Yet it can pick up electromagnetic fields from your brainwaves enough to know friend from food. And again, these brainwaves turn into particles. We're starting to kind of get somewhere here with how does all this work? There's 5 dimensions. Now here is a good example of all of these, but it's 2D. It's, you know, we can't really map that out. We can't perceive it. But picture line dimension 1, square dimension 2, that would be where we live. You can go up, down, left, right, forwards, and backwards. It's 3D. Then you have the 4D, which was the tesseract I just showed earlier, Murphy's room. And then a 5-dimensional cube, which turns into a light hologram. What the fuck is a light hologram? First, just understand how dimensions work. If you had an anthill, a pet anthill in a 2D space, it could never know you exist because it can't perceive you. So you dump a bucket of water on it, and it's like their whole world flooded as an act of God. It's interesting to think about, but just follow it here. Us living in the 3D could never perceive this or this. But we have proof that this exists because we have space and time and ways to manipulate it. So now we look back to these CIA files, and they show even in the 19th century that physicists knew that the 3D was not enough to prove the fundamentals of life, of nature. And they go on to say that it's more so our consciousness projecting thoughts out that affects our reality. How does that work, and why does this make sense? They're actually all very interconnected. And again, really weird that the oldest history we have, people knew this, but this is that flower of life I'm talking about overlaid on a quantum carpet, which is used to measure density and spaces between particles. So these guys knew something we didn't, and they figured it all out with circles. The government knows it, and most of us don't. And frankly, it's pretty damn confusing until someone explains it out, but if you stick around, this will make too much sense. So picture something like this being the universe we live in, projecting light inwards. Our consciousness would be a part of that because we're creating particles with our thoughts, whether we can see them or not. Kind of goes over the science of manifesting, also heavily seen in the gateway files. It's weird. It is super weird, but it concretely proves that we live in a 5-dimensional reality, and by physics and getting as far down as the quantum level, it's a hologram of light. And again, the platypus proves this. So do these gateway files and even our ancient history. we live in a hologram of light. I'm not saying this. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm just reading off these files. We live in a hologram of light, and we produce electromagnetic impulses through our brain, through our heart, that can directly input on our reality. So now you think about stuff like fear-mongering. Little out there, but follow me. If we're all focused on something bad is going to happen. Then you look at stuff like an eclipse or the fucking war on drugs. I mean, all these different things, and it creates fear, it creates hate. Okay, follow me. If everybody loved more, it would directly change this, because as a collective, we have more power than as a singular being. I mean, I know tons of people who would talk about manifesting. In fact, all of my rich friends swear by it. I'm starting to myself because I see results. It's not one of those things that makes sense until you start looking at the science. But it's weird. Just really think on this for a minute. Follow dimensions upwards, and it's irrefutable. 10 grand. Prove me wrong. You won't. Also, if you made it this far in the video, you're not here because you think you can win 10 grand. You're here because I put up some of the gateway noises that you can't consciously hear, but your consciousness picks up on. Go listen to those gateway tapes. They will open your mind and change your life. Thank you.
It's important that you have full understanding of the construct of geocentric, electromagnetic universe. Again, we're not on a ball. Earth consists of concentric rings of physical lands spiraling out from 0-point axis at the center, just like a drop of water that falls into a larger body of water, creating a ripple effect beginning from its point of impact. Refer as the magnetic North Pole. Central Pole is not just a metaphor, but an actual physical marker or magnetic pillar. The war in Iraq is a lie. They know what's in there. A realm of massive door gates that made up of metals. That it is not what we've seen today, inhabited by other extraterrestrial beings or civilizations, which we Muslims considered it as the unseen. I know it sounds crazy. Each of these four-dimensional realms have their own echo. Lunar, solar and seasons, sun and moon, which is our current wandering stars. That what NASA called planets. Let's just break it down this way. Saturn and Jupiter being the solar sun and lunar moon of the outermost ring domain, or the realm of Earth. Mars and Venus being the solar sun and lunar moon of the next concentric domain of Earth as main realm. Beyond southern Antarctic boundary, the Aurora Australis electromagnetic field. Mercury within inner realm beyond northern Arctic boundary, and Aurora Borealis electromagnetic field. Inner star Mercury is androgynous, both solar sun and lunar moon in one, sometimes referred as the inner Earth sun or black sun. That is why we have eclipses, solar eclipses. It's not the shadow of the Earth, or as what Elon Musk says, Planet X. Spiral expansion of Earth, time, and matter continues to be. Subhanallah.
What do you think about that? I don't believe anything that NASA is showing us. I don't believe that India and China recently landed on the moon either. So there's got to be, or maybe there's not. Maybe there's not an explanation for where we are. And you just have to ask yourself, what is this place? I call it a realm. Hey, if you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate you sticking around and watching these with me. And it'd be great if you'd leave some comments down below. Let me know what your experiences are. Also, please like if you like this kind of content. Heck, I'll even take a dislike, a thumbs down if you want, because it still triggers the algorithm. And then lastly, if you know people who like this type of material, if you could please share this with them. The more interaction there is with this video by all across all accounts, whether all those things, like, share, subscribe, then it does help push these videos up for other people to see. And the better responses I'm getting, the better I'm going to want to do with my videos. So anyway, thanks for watching again, and may God be with you. Remember, Jesus died for our sins. Jesus loves you. God loves us. And until the next one.
Oh boy, this is really overwhelming. Sorry, I'm just... Okay, I'll be fine. I think I'm gonna throw up over there. Woo! I'll make sure. What a beautiful stage. So nice.
Keep going, keep going.
I would have loved having a cow and then milking it.
No!
And yogurt, thank you for the incredible catering on set. All of us remember you giving us ham. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Gotta go clean the back of my dress. Adieu. I think I'm gonna throw up over there.